As we talk about privacy, the here comes the another stakeholder, that is data processor, which is the major challenge. If you look at from a data fiduciaries perspective, we have to ensure that there is enough security at data processors end who is processing data on your behalf. Here,
Right.
from a from a tech company perspective, how can what is your thought in terms of how can third party tech companies assist data fiduciaries in managing data security at the data processors end, which is again a obligation for the data fiduciary.
Right. So, see, in this, for specifically, since we are more focusing on the BFSI segment, in this case, when we talk about data processor, ideally, we'll see there might be two classes of them. One of them is like vendors who are operating digitally, like your SaaS providers, your cloud providers. There, the problem is one way to deal that. And the other end, that yeah, I think you also know, you have to work with certain vendors who are operating physically or in a hybrid mode, which involves like field visits or printing services, etc. So I will classify into those two. So I will take off one case like vendors who are into physical operation. How can you protect the data? So generally, we have seen the common practice there is like companies generally export the data in an Excel or and share by email or a WhatsApp or a channel like that. So I think this is where the fiduciary is losing control over its data. Put it in a file and then send it out of an organization, you are losing control. So that is where I think we have to address that, and the major part of Creum works in that juncture is like it digitalized the whole process with dynamic workflows and a mobile app for the field level operators, so that all everything remains within your control chain. As I say, if you say as a protection officer, when you are trying to implement something, so it remains within your control. You have a log like it remains within the digital circle, that is control operated under the company's governance of the data governance policies that you have set in any point of time. It will involve a role based access controls or even encryption, which comes from your data security point. So that's what I see is like hiding or purging the data after the job is done, logging whatever activity has been happening, monitoring for anomalies and reporting. So this all this benefit you can get in like once you bring in under a digital ambit. So there is like this only makes the process. See, that is how I see is the process not only makes the process efficient, but also makes the operation much more secure. Now, that is the part of I'm talking about the data processors who are handling the fiduciaries data in a non-digital way, though as per DPDP Act, when everything is whenever it comes to digital. So whenever it is a printed format and all those, it is not may not be in the purview. But generally, we don't do it. Very less paperwork. What we say is like we send the data out by email in an Excel file, or we send it in a WhatsApp message or something. Still, it is digital, so it still applies there. So that's I think I see it that way, the digitalization, the whole end-to-end channel between the fiduciary to processor and the back, the channel, the loop needs to be closed digitally. And for the vendors who are purely digital, like your cloud provider, your AWS or the Azure services, or your SaaS vendor, you are using some SaaS application. So that should ideally they are under digital control. So in this case, mostly they should provide routine access log, use privacy preserving processes, and you should be aware of it. So you should, and the vendors, you should be asking about it, what process they are, or techniques they are using within their system to and what policies they are keeping, privacy policies they are holding. So those becomes a more of a subject of audit verification and comes back. So that's why I see like just to tell you the advantage of the third party tech companies, because here since you mentioned the word third party tech companies, so I think the BFSI data fiduciaries doing the tech on their own most sometimes sees only through a window. That is what I have seen. Whereas a tech company who is outside sees the problem on a more generic vantage point. So here their offering are much more modern and sustainable, which uses the latest of the tech, be it or web or AI, which and as a business company, it will take a little longer for them to addressing the problem because they address is more generic way. So it's good for extensibility and probable use cases that might come in. So what we should be looking for is like progressive third-party tech companies bringing ideas to your table, and fiduciaries should provide chances for adoption of those if any novel ideas coming. That is my submission here.